mind if I sit down?
No, that's fine, Mr. Chairman. You're not officially here in capacity to speak, so.
Okay, Mayor, I think I have a solution to the obstructionist attitude of some of this council. And the solution was only brought to me by a former mayor of this municipality, because they better know the workings of this council than I do. Simple situation is, the most recent email I received from the general manager, which was only maybe 24 hours ago, she suddenly decided to tell me that they are unable to accept donations from the public, from the residents. The email I'd received from her 4 days ago said we can't accept donations. Sorry, the press release 4 days ago said we can't accept donations from you, Theo, because you're a property developer. Nothing else was said in that email. But 24 hours ago, I got an email from her saying we can't accept donations from anybody. Curious that email was not sent a week ago, 10 days ago, when I started my 30-odd emails to this council. Now, that to me says that it's an afterthought. And I'm starting to think now that I've miscalculated. It's not the mayor that's against intervening, it's the GM that's against intervening in this litigation. And that she's maybe misguided. Respectfully, you may be misguided. Because you weren't elected, you're an employee. And that we, as I said, 99.9% of the residents do not want to intervene in the hearing. But it appears she does not. And she's the only one that's contacted me. Mayor never. She has. Now all of a sudden now, this council's decided they can't accept donations. And I thought, well, that was interesting. And so within this morning's time limit, I had 2 prominent law firms, one of which has acted for this council, give legal advice to say that you are able to accept donations. Now, if you are legally able to accept donations, but you don't want to accept the donation, what does that tell the room? Answer, we don't want to intervene. The budgetary argument has gone out the window that we don't want to spend the 500 grand, but we do not want to intervene. Now I said to the mayor, because I spoke to him for the first time outside, I said, "Why? Tell me the reasons why, other than money." He said, "I can't tell you those because they were decided in closed meeting." Well, that's very helpful to we, the residents, who are here to find out why. But meanwhile, I don't mind you eating in front of me in a meeting. It's not a problem. I teach my children not to do that, Mayor, but you go right ahead. Now, what do? I tell them, don't you go either. Now, the excellent idea I've received is as follows. Thank you. It says as follows. For 1 year only. For 1 year only, do not fund the gallery. They get coincidentally $500,000 a year. And the good news is, we will fund it for 1 year only. And we will get a tax deduction for our money. And even I, as a property developer, can give money to an art gallery. And let me assure you, the art gallery is less popular than the popular vote to intervene in these proceedings. Now, why have we contorted ourselves into this simple situation, into this argument? Because the idea that where there is a will, there is a way is not in the vocabulary of the GM and the mayor. They do not want to do this for reasons that beggar belief. Beggar belief. And I've brought the ICAC into it because I'm a logical guy, other than to do with who I marry. I'm a logical guy, and I believe that logic says that this should happen. And if it's not going to happen and it's no longer the money, which we now know is legally able to be given, then there's something wrong and illogical. Now, I've been told by Jesse that I can speak today, but ultimately I do not understand. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it's a duck. In this case, this is a smelly duck. I don't get it, and I really would love you to waive privilege and tell us what your genius lawyers have told you. And it's my understanding you've never once thought I'd spend $10,000 and get the best legal opinion in the country from the best local government QC in the country. You haven't done that. You're relying on a suburban solicitor to direct the most important matter in it. Now, I had a phone call from the Daily Telegraph who were writing a big story about you, General Manager, and she said to me, "Why do you care so much?" To which I then sent her a short video, which you can all obtain from my daughter, where recently I rescued a trout that had washed downstream in a flood, and I caught it in an Aboriginal basket, and I went and put it back in the place from where it originated. That is how passionate I am about this area. I've been here for 35 years, Mayor, and I'm proud of everything I've done in this municipality. But I do not want to be in an area where there's plastic recycling going on, because I'm a pessimist. You may be an optimist. You've got 4 kids, and it blows my mind that you're prepared to take this as a risk. Now, why should we intervene? Because I'm a believer in this, that when the guy hears this matter, when ultimately, or whoever hears this matter, they'll think it must be a divided council because they haven't intervened. They're not going to think 500,000 is too much for this council. They're going to think maybe it's not so strongly opposed, and therefore that's why they're simply just putting in their objection rather than getting legal representation. That is a logical inference from somebody hearing a contentious matter that's on a line ball. Presume it gets to 50-50 and he thinks, what am I going to do? He'll think, well, I'm not going to upset the Shire too much if I decide against the Shire, because ultimately they even decided not to intervene. Now, have you investigated, have your lawyers told you, General Manager, whether if you don't participate in the hearing, in the appeal as a litigant, whether you can bring an appeal if you lose? Have you got any advice on that, General Manager? Because my comprehension is you need to have been a party in the first instance to lodge an appeal. So to be sure, if we lose, everybody behind me will want to appeal. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay? And so what is it about this room where you're not listening? You're not 99.9% of the electorate. Even the journalist said to me, I've been looking at all the social media and there's not one person in favour of it. But the good news is, thank you Juliet, is that I've made it easy for you. Stop funding the gallery for 1 year. It helps us out because I can now put my money in, I can get a tax deduction, and that's the end of the matter. And I'm going to ask you this. What's more important to everybody in this room? The art gallery or pollution that could harm them?
Theo, can I make a suggestion?
Okay, yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Can you write, like, can you put it in writing? If you're prepared to pledge 500,000 to the art gallery, can you put that in a legal document, send it off so that it's on the table on the legal?
Now, why don't you pass a resolution which says if we
No,
do this?
no,
Oh, look, I'm not
Sorry,
interested.
Councillor, I appreciate what you're trying to do. Theo, look, you've very much made your point. You've had 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yes, you've gone for 8
Yeah,
minutes, which is far longer than any other speaker that's registered
closer
today
to-
to speak.
We're closer
And
to a
you're cutting
deadline.
into their time. We're here to
The
get them to
deadline's
speak on the
Friday.
agenda.